that's me. Thanks for your time, everyone, especially thanks to Travis and Melissa, people I've met for a total of 45 minutes trusting me with this whole deal. Very kind of you. Grateful for the time to talk about this thing that I'm passionate about, which is called positivity. You've probably heard of it. By a show of hands, who thinks that I'm going to come up here and be like, positivity's the best? Yeah, I bet. That's not the plan. I am going to have you be positive with the person next to you real quick. If you can just quick look to the person on your left and say, hey, it's nice to meet you. Nice to see you. All right, real quick, look to the person behind you and say, I'm especially happy to meet you. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Okay, enough of that. Now, Positivity Conference. If it was a thing, it is a thing, we don't know. We'll get there. But I think it might go something like this. You're in your office, it's maybe a Thursday, call it 2, 3 in the afternoon. You're on the verge of hanging up the cleats. You've worked enough, right? It's been that kind of day. It's Thursday afternoon, but your coworker, your teammate leans over and says, dude, come to this conference with me. And you're not maybe in the mood. It's not really your deal. Maybe you're like a lot of people here, I'm sure, maybe go to a lot of these things, but it's Thursday, you're kind of ready to call it a day. So you ask, what kind of conference is it? He goes, it's a positivity conference. And you're a little intrigued, but you're still maybe a little skeptical, like it looks like by a show of hands a lot of you were. And you say, okay, let's try this out. So you and your coworker, kind of last minute, decide to attend a positivity conference. You walk out of your building down the street, sure enough, it's right next door, and based on the little tiny sign that says, welcome to the positivity conference, you're in the right place. And you walk in, and sure enough, it starts right away. There's a greeter at the elevator. And he's good. He's got that kind of special, like, I'm making eye contact with you and you're the most important person in the entire world right now feeling, right? Which maybe Travis Sims could relate a lot to that. He's kind of the same way. And you approach this elevator greeter and he just gives you this really kind, hi, are you here for the positivity conference? And you kindly say, yes, I am. You go, and he goes, well, that's great. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to my elevator. And you get on this elevator and just something felt different about that interaction, right? He approached you kindly, he approached you differently. It felt not just like another walking past your coworker in the office or meeting a stranger on the side of the road. There was some intentionality behind it. The positivity conference was already sort of underway. And maybe you didn't realize it quite yet. You have a very non-awkward elevator ride. You pop to the top and you don't know when you're going to stop, and suddenly you're on the rooftop. And the doors open. You still don't really know how or why you got here, but then the sun hits you. Kind of like today when you walked out of your office or your house or walked out to your car. The sun hits you, and again, you sort of get this feeling like, half hour ago I was at my office ready to call it a day. But suddenly that greeter in this sunshine feels pretty good. Tossing a golden retriever and everything would be perfect, right? But again, on this rooftop, you're met again by yet another greeter. And this time, the greeter has a tray. And on this tray, there's not 1, 2, 3, but 4 or 5 really nice beverages. And there's a coffee, there's a lemonade, there's a couple beers. But again, that person looks you in the eye and says, hey, welcome. Would you like a nice beverage? And this small interaction that felt right, you just kind of were like, yes I would, I'll take a Fat Pants IPA, right? And then you walked in a little bit more, and you kind of took a peruse of this rooftop event. And you've been to plenty of conferences, I know all of us here probably have. But this one felt like maybe just something was in the air, right? People were connecting on just a little bit more of a deeper level. It wasn't maybe just a bunch of high tops, but there was some more kind of comfortable seating, and people were feeling at peace and safe and excited and supportive. And you said, all right. Thank you, kind coworker that brought me to this mystical positivity conference. But then you see the speaker walk up onto the stage. And then you're convinced that this is where it gets weird. This is going to be the person up there going, positivity! And you're kind of, maybe ready to call it a day. we gave it a try. But then the speaker gets up there. And I'd imagine the speaker would kind of sound like this. The speaker go on to explain what he does. He's a restaurant owner. And he explains that his restaurants have been super, super successful for a lot of reasons, but one of them is because of the camaraderie that's built in his space. He's owned restaurants, and he would attest that anyone that walks into his restaurants it's pretty obvious there's a good thing happening inside. People are connecting. There's groups of 8. There's groups of 2. There's first dates. There's blind dates. There's super hot 40-year anniversary dates. There's big groups of people of all ages and sizes from places all over, and you can feel the happiness and the camaraderie in the area, in the room. And he says, that's why we've been successful. My team, my family, and I, we've been able to build restaurants that invite people in. The positivity is what people keep coming back for, whether it be with the servers, which he then says, well, all those greeters that you met on the way in, they work for my restaurants. And I'm proud to provide the food in the venue today because I believe in positivity and I make my restaurants run on it. But then he takes it one step further. The restaurant owner says, yes, I love positivity. It creates my business model. It's our recipe for success. But positivity has allowed me to see people just one step deeper or one place stronger. It's invited me to a different level of connecting with people. And he goes on to say that, yeah, he loves when he can see that first date at the bar going really well. But he also knows that that bartender struggles with addiction, and every drink that bartender pours feels like tipping over a cinder block. He sees these big groups of families having an amazing family reunion family style dinner, but he also knows that the waitress that's worked for him for 10 years has worked for 16 straight days on her feet because her son just got in a motorcycle accident. She's struggling to pay the bills. He goes on to tell a story about how he sees all this food hit the table and it's delicious, like the food all of you are enjoying at the Positivity Conference right now. But he also knows that the dishwasher is struggling in and out of homeless shelters and been living in his car, and he's been putting him up in a hotel for 5 days. He said, positivity invites the people in, and the positivity in my restaurants has invited me into other people's lives. And he connects with not just his employees, but he connects this way with his patrons. And he goes on to say that he's hopeful that this conference allows him to connect with more people. And he explains that connecting with people like that through positivity is the headspace he wants to stay in. And that's interesting to me, is how does approaching something positively impact how you think about it? Or impact the outcome of it for you, the people around you, your community, your family, your friends? So when you approach something positively, good things happen. And he gets off the stage. And I don't think people really knew or will know to clap, cheer, get really excited. But I would imagine it's just going to be the right amount of calm, happy, positive wave over the space. And that's kind of all I've planned so far for the Positivity Conference. And I would imagine there's more networking, more people meeting new people, more people connecting. People walk away feeling a little spark of joy, a little spark of positivity. And they impact the people around them. But that's just an idea that I've been forming in my head over the last year. I want to tell you about an organization locally that's actually doing just this. There's an organization locally called Jack's Basket. And maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. Jack's Basket's mission is to rearrange the conversation around Down syndrome. And if you don't know what Down syndrome is a either prenatal or at-birth diagnosis that somebody receives. And ultimately, it's just one extra chromosome latching onto a bunch of other chromosomes within your body. And at the end of the day, all it does is make a lot of things on that person that has Down syndrome, just a little bit of a different shape. Might be their heart, maybe their feet, maybe some other facial features, maybe things just kind of have a different shape. And Jack's Basket, well, they reach out to doctors, they reach out to genetic counselors, they reach out to people in the healthcare community, and they educate them that, hey, this conversation about Down syndrome maybe needs to change a little bit. What if instead of maybe approaching it in a not so positive way, we approached it in a much more positive way, right? Because most of the time, for maybe the last couple of years, decades, the Down syndrome community has maybe been a little underappreciated. Maybe there's been things that the Down syndrome community doesn't necessarily have the right recognition or the right education around what it actually is, and Jack's Basket is hopeful to educate those doctors on how to talk to parents expecting a baby that might have some type of developmental difference. So on top of them educating doctors and genetic counselors and supporting them in those tougher conversations, they, like the restaurant owner, take it one step further. They reach out to families that are either in the weeds of figuring out if they have a incoming baby with Down syndrome, or have just at birth found out that they have an amazing child that also has Down syndrome, and they reach out to that person. Now, it's important for you to realize that these families have been through maybe 2, 3, 4, 10, 2 dozen meetings or conversations with doctors that have approached this topic similar to how I described earlier. Hey, Mom, Dad, go ahead, have a seat. I've got some bad news for you. Hey, Mom, Dad, the ultrasound reports came back. There's XYZ wrong with your baby, and there's XYZ problems because of it. So Jack's Basket approaches it differently. They approach it with positivity. Actually, they reach out to those same family members and they say, congratulations! You did it! You have a kid with Down syndrome. Oh my gosh, we're so excited to get to know you. We're so excited for you to join our community. Welcome. We can't wait to get to know you. Approaching something with positivity changes the outcome. Now you may have noticed a little baby walking around this adult-only happy hour. That is my first kid. That is Mr. Levi in the back. And he's the most strong dude you'll ever meet in your life. He is just about 4 months old, and when Jack's Basket called to say congratulations, our whole world made sense. All those conversations, all those interactions, all the questions, when someone looked me in the eye and said congratulations from a positive place, we were ready to do this. And I'll tell you right now, Levi is healthier than all of us combined. And he and Kara and my family and my amazing friends and coworkers that showed up today, we plan to approach this idea of change, of difference, of environments with only positivity, and that's the kind of change that we plan to build and bring, whether it be a networking event, a make-believe conference, but for you maybe it's when you're just walking into a meeting, or connecting with an old friend, or connecting with a new friend. The positivity, it changes the outcome. Thanks for your time today. Grateful for all of you for listening to these stories, and I'm hopeful that maybe something came out of it, and I would love to talk with you afterwards and learn more about your world.